Hello friends, welcome to things I wish I knew about Civ 7 before I actually started playing. Okay, loaded into a random save, and first off, the one thing I want to talk about is something that's going to be relevant for all of the times that you first load into the game. That namely being how water works, or namely freshwater. Freshwater is important for your cities because each city that does not have fresh water gets -5 to its happiness, which is a pretty big penalty because a good happiness building will give you like 4 or 5 happiness. So that's losing that right off the bat. So you definitely want to be settling on fresh water unless there's a pretty big reason, a resource that you really need, or some outstanding reason that, but all of my cities I've been able to settle on fresh water. It's not very difficult to do. And this is something that I think is good to know. If you come over here to the bottom left, go to lenses and you go to settler, the light blue tiles are tiles that have access to fresh water. Yellow tiles do not have access to fresh water. So notice that the ocean, these coastal ocean tiles do not give us fresh water. Any tile adjacent to a navigable river, a big river, a navigable river, will have fresh water. Any tile adjacent to an oasis, so all of those are fresh water, and any tile that is on top of a non-navigable river. I was confused about the difference between navigable and non-navigable rivers, but I'll show you an example here in a second. In fact, let's do that right now. So let's go over here. This is a navigable river. It's big because you have to turn into a boat to actually cross it. So we'll go next turn. I played a little bit around here, so I know where it's going to be. If we come over here, here we have a non-navigable river. These rivers, you will not have water on this tile is my estimation. It's going to be pretty funny if that's wrong, but yes, it does not have fresh water. I was confused on why this is. Basically, if it's a small river, you need to be directly on top of it to get fresh water. So we'll pass the turn, go there. And now this settler will have fresh water if they settle right there because they are on top of the small non-navigable river. So it's pretty obvious when you have them right next to each other, but there was a couple times where I was really confused as to why I had to be on top of it versus I couldn't even settle on it. Any tile adjacent to a navigable river will have fresh water. Another thing about this lens mode is you might be tempted when you're first starting out and you can only see these tiles to use kind of the borders, like, we can tell that these are non-navigable. But I wouldn't trust it that much. And here's a good example of why. If we start going back this way, if you look here, it looks like this tile would be non-navigable, or it looks like this tile would not have access to fresh water right there. And you might do some like quick thinking, next level calculations based off of that. But I'm here to tell you that that calculation would probably be wrong, because if we go and explore just a little bit more, yes, we'll see that this tile actually does have fresh water. The tooltip was just 100% lying to us. And the only reason that tile would have been red is if there was a resource on top of it, because you cannot settle on top of resources. And we knew that this was a lake. All tiles adjacent to lakes have freshwater. So yeah, that's basically my kind of breakdown on how freshwater works. Try to always settle on freshwater. It's a pretty big bonus for a pretty small requirement. I really like navigable rivers, pantheons that give you food and production on these. I feel like civs that do things with navigable rivers are pretty strong. Maybe that would be one of my first videos, but we'll see. That was my quick deep dive into freshwater, how it works and why you should care about it. Basically, you can use this, trust it pretty much, but it's good to know the mechanics behind it. So any tile adjacent, and to summarize, any tile adjacent to navigable rivers, adjacent to oases, marshes, watering holes, and on top of non-navigable rivers, and next to lakes, of course. Yeah, so that's it for this save. That was tip number 1, water. How does it work? Okay. So I loaded into my Rome game where I'm playing as Rome as Augustus in the Antiquity Age. Let me go ahead and turn this on real quick. Yields, resources, yes. This tip has to do with this button right here, resource allocation. Click that. Now, there's a couple things about the screen that took me a little while to actually understand. So first I'm gonna remove these resources. Now I can only do this because I've hooked up a resource on this turn as well. Normally you cannot just change, you can only add, take away, or move around resources on a turn where you add a resource to the network. Now these say bonus, these say city. I was confused on what that actually meant. Basically, city resources can only be slotted into cities. So the only city I have right now is actually my capital, Rome. I can put all of these city resources into Rome. These bonus resources can go into Rome, because it's a city, or they can go into any of my towns. I can take out these ones as well. Now, a lot of these city resources are things like plus 10% culture, plus 20% production towards units. Gypsum gives you production. Camels are pretty good, just FYI. But that's basically something I was pretty confused about, is that city resources can only be slotted into cities, whereas bonus resources can be slotted into the city and into towns. Honestly, a lot of these bonus resources you want to be putting into your capital, just because they give you things like plus 2 food, plus 2 production, where something like salt is pretty useful, but like 10% culture at this point in the game is pretty strong. So I'll go ahead and put camels in so I can put more, because that just bumped up my culture by a good amount, and I can bump up my science by a good amount too. But there's going to be points, especially in the early game, where you'd much rather have just more production, more happiness in a place like your capital, and 10% culture won't be doing a lot. I was also confused as to why I couldn't change this at certain times. You cannot just change it whenever you want. You have to change it on a turn where you add a resource to the network. And also you're going to have things like silver. You're going to have things like, where is it? Like gold. You're going to have things like plus 20% gold towards purchasing buildings. If you notice, gold and silver are not actually here as options. They're up here. This is where those resources go. Empire resources are basically just passive bonuses that, because you've connected them, they give you plus 20% towards purchasing buildings, 10% towards wonders on plains, tropical and desert tiles, plus 1% combat strength, which is really, really strong, by the way, if you can get lots of iron. Yeah, so that's a little bit about resources, and resources are very strong in this game. Moving on, here's another tip that I really wish I knew earlier. So let's go to this city, Puteoli. It is a town right now, so let's go ahead and convert that to a city, yes. Let's take a look at the city. So we have City Hall, we have temporary fortifications, and we have a road on this tile. If we go to our buildings, we can see that we can build a garden, we can build a granary, we can build a library. Something that really confused me about districts that I didn't realize is that you can actually put 2 districts on top of each other. And have them both be active, both giving you adjacency bonus. So for example, I could go ahead and put the Basilica, which is Rome's unique unit. I'll go ahead and put this on this rough desert tile. And I can immediately go and queue up Rome's other building, the Temple of Jupiter, on top of it. This is actually how you make Rome's unique district the Forum. So I'll go ahead and do that. And once that finishes, I'll have a forum on this tile. You can do this with things like gardens, and your city hall counts as its own district, which is why you can put a garden on top of your city hall. I could go ahead and put a granary and then put a library on top. This is something that's pretty important, because if you don't do this and you just put a library here, granary here, brickyard here, a garden here, you're going to quickly run out of tiles that you can actually work as like a farm, as a mine, as a plantation, things like that. I did that my first couple games where I didn't realize you could actually stack, or I was really confused and had accidentally stacked it without realizing it. So I was like, why can't I build on this particular tile? So if you come back to Rome, you'll see that I put a monument on the city hall. So I have a monument and the palace there. Here I have an altar and a library, and that's giving me lots of science and happiness. Here I have a saw pit and nothing else, but it's next to a mine, so it gets adjacency bonuses for that. Here I have, I did finish the Temple of Jupiter and the Basilica, so this counts as Rome's unique district, the Forum, which will keep across ages. That's another bonus tip. Unique buildings that a civilization has, like for example, the Forum, if you complete these will carry over between the ages. So you really kind of want to build them if they're really good in your cities that you have. Yeah, so those are things that I really wish I knew before I started the game. I'm sure I'm going to think of lots of other things that might be really useful. Yeah, but I hope you enjoyed. I hope that you found this helpful. If there's other things that you thought were really helpful that you've discovered, feel free to put them in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I genuinely thank you so much for watching if you made it to this point. I hope you have a wonderful day. Really looking forward to making more Civ content. Stick around for that. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye.